Well, this is the scene in Lillehammer. The men's race completed, and now it is up to the women. Haven't seen too many freestyle races so far this year, but after yesterday's classic sprints, everyone looking to see who is on the best form in the freestyle technique. The traditional signing of the board. Everyone's signing up to the anti-doping. Well, hopefully we're not going to have too many scandals this year. Now, it's a time trial event, 30 seconds as always in between each of the starters. And alongside myself, Patrick Winston, is Mike Dixon. Mike, the men's race, interesting. Did you feel there was any advantage going early or late? Did you feel the snow conditions changed throughout the race?
You know, I think it was very level, very much the same throughout the course. The wind didn't change, the temperature didn't change. I think the only advantage was from those starting a little later, they were given the times of the athletes leading or the athletes they needed to chase down.
Well, we saw the winner of the sprint take the win in the men's 10-kilometre. I wonder whether it's going to be the same in the women's. Anna Haag is the first to get underway. She's an experienced athlete, comes from Östersund, so I imagine she's had half an eye on the biathlon events taking place up there. Heidi Weng, of course, the winner of the sprint yesterday, and she will be looking to solidify that lead in the overall World Cup. It seems, Mike, that yesterday she was as chuffed about winning the race as she was about wearing the yellow bib.
It was quite an expression at the end. She just could not believe she won it in the Classic. She didn't really expect to be winning the Classic, maybe a podium, but it was her best possible outcome, and really setting herself up well for, well, today and for tomorrow's pursuit competition.
But she deserves another win. 53 podium finishes she's had now. I think that was her 4th win, so it's someone who has been knocking on the door for so long. Polina Kalsina of Russia starts 38th in the World Cup last year. She hasn't picked up any points so far this year. This would be a good day to do that. When you start early on, you haven't really got too many splits to work off, and I guess it's tempting just to take it too easy over the first stages. But this is a short race. It should be 100% all the way.
It's 5 kilometres. There's no real time to hang about. You can't just take it easy and glide along these flats. You've got to work on every single part of this course. And Muzzy started early in the men's race, bib 20. Not sure it was an advantage today. He might have wanted to have been further back in the field.
This, of course, the park run distance. Now, anyone who does park run in under 15 minutes is flying. We're going to see quicker than that today.
I think we're going to see what? Even sub 12 minutes, maybe 12:15 today, although this is a testing course. Total climb of 418 metres. That was earlier for the men, of course. This is only one time round, 5 kilometres, so 200-metre climb.
But it has to be said that the lap is a little bit too long. It's just 150 metres over the 5 kilometre. Far more important to create a good course than to be spot on 5Ks.
Yes, I think so. And it is a good course. Anna Haag, she's looking better, Patrick. Remember, it was way back in Vancouver when she took the silver medal in the pursuit competition. 7.5 Classic, followed by 7.5 in the freestyle.
You think she's been getting lessons off Emil?
I think she's tried.
Emil Jonsson, of course, her partner.
Yeah. But she's looking stronger. I mean, last year she didn't quite have the tempo. This year she's, for me, looking an awful lot more sparky.
Well, I think so many athletes are looking more dynamic. And it's partly seems to be to do with strength, partly seems to be to do with body size. Everyone seems to have just lost a little bit of weight. Obviously, power to weight ratio is important in this, as it is in every sport, and just so many seem to be more dynamic certainly on the uphill sections.
Yeah, and I think, how do you go faster? Well, yes, they've got the strength. You do then need limb speed, the cycle of energy continually working with you all the time.
Nice switch from skate 2 to skate 1 for Kalsina. Just like changing gears in a car, and the moment you choose to do it, is crucial.
Well, Kalsina, she certainly showed her cards as a junior, Patrick, when she took the silver medal. And that was in the 10-kilometre classic. Yes, that's classic, but she certainly was, as a junior, in the top rungs of the ladder so often. It's always difficult then bringing that into the senior field, and at 27, Kalsina really hasn't done that in the senior field. Deborah Tolis, 19th last year in the Tour de Ski. She can sprint, she can cope with the distance, and there she goes, just 1.5 seconds advantage at the moment.
It's been a while since the Italians were at the top of women's skiing. Belmondo, Di Centa, who all did a stage where they were pretty dominant. But Italy have never really had more than one, possibly two world-class athletes at the same time.
Elizabeth Stephen, I think she's suited well for this course, the slender but strong build. And of course, as we saw there in the graphic, 5 podiums in her career.
Well, there's been a lot of winter sport going on. The season very much underway, and let's just try and catch up on some of the things that have been going on as we see the early starters climb the hill here in Lillehammer. Kalle Halvorsen, what a win for him, his second in 2 days, having won the sprint yesterday. He's now clear leader in the overall World Cup. Marcus Hellner making it a 1-2 for Sweden, so great news for them. And Hellner looked a little bit sluggish in the sprints yesterday, so I wonder if this is the year that Sweden are going to turn the tables on the Norwegians in the men's racing.
Who knows? When did we ever not see a Norwegian on the podium in a men's race World Cup in Norway?
Well, Kjetil Jansrud has started the season well. He's racing in Val d'Isère this weekend, finishes ahead of Peter Phil and Axel Lund Svindal, back from another injury. So 16th win for Kjetil Jansrud. The Norwegian team as strong as ever in the alpine disciplines. And Val d'Isère, of course, sitting in for the American resorts, which are short of snow. It's strange for it to be that way round, but that's the way it is. Lotte Udnesveng, familiar name, and she is actually a cousin of Heidi Weng, and Lotte has a twin sister who's another very good skier, so we could see a few Wengs on the team. She's in the under-23 national team, actually the youngest athlete out here, and the oldest, as far as I could work out, Mike, was Marit Bjørgen, but you think Shevchenko?
Well, Shevchenko, certainly last weekend when Shevchenko was racing up in Finland, was without a doubt the oldest.
Well, there's Anna Shevchenko, who is
the younger version.
The younger version, and she's certainly not the oldest here. I don't see the older Shevchenko on the start list.
Not this week.
And because it's a skating race, I'm not surprised. She's a brilliant classic skier. She's not quite so hot. Comes from a previous generation.
That's true. The classic technique. Stephen, I thought she might be hitting this so hard in the early stages, but when you're nearly 6 seconds down at this time, a lot of work to do now in the more steeper part of the course to come.
And of course, Mike, we're nearly at the stage where all the athletes on the circuit were introduced to skating at the same time as being introduced to classic. Marit Bjørgen, born 1980, she was on skis long before she was 5, so she will have had a couple of years of classic skiing before she started skating. In a couple of years' time, there will be no one left who knew anything but skating.
Well, that's true, yes, it came in, didn't it, in 1985, and look at this group now of well, from what the next, what have we got, 6 starters, 5 of them German, but all of them, Patrick, are very young, they're very talented. They've shown that at Junior World Championships.
No, a little difficult to focus on Kowalczyk when she's moving so fast. She looks fired up. Classic, usually her race. We'll be very interested to see how she gets on today. We haven't seen Kowalczyk anywhere near her best, but we haven't seen her anywhere near her best for a long time. 4 seasons now without claiming the overall.
Well, and that's right, she was so dominant, wasn't she, as you said, 4 years ago. But certainly Kowalczyk, for me, is looking much better this season.
Findrick coming up to 0.8 of a kilometre, national sprint champion for Switzerland. She's only 21 and finished 23rd yesterday. The sprinting really where she's expecting to make her mark. Anna Haag out on her own. Has she created a ski club? I think she's created her own ski club with Emil. I think it's the Anna and Emil ski club.
Well, they've got plenty good information and technique to pass on to anyone that joins the club. Look at the climb, Patrick. Well, hopefully we'll see that camera shot again. It's huge, 75-metre rise from the low point in the far distance to this high point.
Yeah, that's a big climb.
A lot of quick climbing.
Well, it looks as though we're set for a long winter because the snow conditions are so good this year compared to what we've seen in the past. And I know the Alps have had a massive snow. Not everyone, but most places doing very nicely in the early stages of the season. Through 3.3, Anna Haag on 9:41. That time an indication of just how tough this course is. Stephanie Böhler. Is she the one that's going to bring Germany a little bit of glory? She's starting one behind Fessel, one behind Belger, both of them from Germany. And Böhler actually lives in Ruhpolding, which is the biathlon centre. And of course she's got another of her teammates starting right after her. So 4 Germans starting in succession. That can work well. Number 20, Nicole Fessel from Oberstdorf, a town that's hosted the World Championships on a number of occasions. And I think they hosted them in 1987, 2 years after skating was actually introduced. That was when Vasberg was at his prime.
What do you think? Any pressure? There's Bjørgen just taking her final drinks with the Norwegian men not placing on the podium. What do you think? Is there any nervousness in the women's team, Norwegian? I doubt it. They're pretty nailed-on favourites.
I don't think they rely on male success. I think it's probably the other way around, to be honest. The Norwegian women have been dominant for as long as the Norwegian men, and over the last few seasons they've been much more dominant on the World Cup. You know, think of the number of times we've had 4 Norwegians in the top 5.
Ah, so often, yeah. And of course with Weng, Østberg today, Bjørgen.
Yeah.
Unbelievably strong team again.
Yeah, what most teams would do for one of them.
Three gold, 1 silver at Junior Worlds from Victoria Karl, just passing the timing.
Yeah, she's an impressive athlete. 7th in the Ruka 10 kilometre. She was, what, 50 seconds? I think she was just over 50 seconds off the race leader. And it's all over for Anna Haag. 5Ks done and dusted. 13:30 the target time. And at the first split, Anna Haag is down in 7th place. So she gave away 7 seconds on the initial part of the course. So I don't expect to see her winning here today. 24, Kari-Eira Schlind. Nothing really to write home about so far. I like the style, I like the technique.
A 28-year-old, though, Patrick Schlind, hasn't really been involved with the A-team too much, occasionally coming in.
See how far apart the feet are, Mike. Is that something that you've now incorporated into your training? In the old days, we were always telling people to get their feet together. Nowadays, you can't afford the time to bring the foot all the way in.
I think exactly that is the factor. You haven't time to glide all the way over. Just make sure contact with the snow is made to get the next bit of energy through.
Astrid Jakobsen, a former world champion. You have to go all the way back to 2007 and Sapporo when she won the sprint title there.
None other than Kowalczyk with the shoulder rotation there. She's looking better, though, I think, technically a little in the skating.
Looks strong in the upper body. How's the time? It's not going to match Novikova. 2:35, the fastest time.
She takes a little time, doesn't she, Kowalczuk, to get into her racing rhythm, and it's a very aggressive start from the start line up to this point.
But actually, she's looked pretty good in the first half of every race we've seen so far. Just hasn't quite got that stamina, and that's something that will come. What's important is that she actually has the ski speed.
Moonen looked great there. What was that? Slotting just 0.1 of a second into second place.
Well, the Swedish men may be on the up. The Finnish women are certainly on the up. And I think we're going to see something spectacular from them. Niskanen, how did he get on in the men's race today?
Niskanen, maybe he's more an outright classic specialist, but Heikkinen was up there, 7th position, just, what, 15, 17 seconds behind.
Natalie von Siebenthal lives near to Gstaad, which is obviously a world-famous alpine resort, as we watch Hannah Fout just blasting her way out of the stadium. Very, very consistent, Hannah Fout. She's been in the top 15 of every race so far. Number 15, Petra Novikova, who set a very, very fast split early on. Has she kept it going? Elizabeth Stephen of the USA. It's a strong American team. It's a fun American team. Certainly the spirits are fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's encouraged by the head coach, Matt Whitcomb. He wants a positive team. He wants the success of one to be shared and encouraged to be praised by all of the rest. And I think he's really built that positive mentality in his group.
Well, look at this. Novikova is flying.
Well, memories from last year. Remember, she was one of the first non-Norwegians, 6th place in the skiathlon.
She's not going to be far outside. The table's slightly reversed since the first split. And slots into 5th place, but only a couple of seconds outside the leading time. So Elizabeth Stephen it is who's set the early pace. Here comes Jakobsen up to 800 metres. Can't read too much into this, although it is only a 5,000 metre race. So almost 20% of the race gone. She's got the lead, but it's a slim lead. 0.9 of a second for Astrid Jakobsen. I like her style. Now, with the wider foot, Mike, that we were talking about early on, the other thing that's changed slightly is going onto a flat ski. You can't, if your feet are going to stay wider, you're always going slightly onto the edge of the ski. Or are you one for still trying to get the base flat in the initial part of the glide?
I think initially you're encouraged to try, especially when you're coming from, say, lead right ski to left. You want to try and at least touch down on the flat, but you have such little time. You've got to edge to get off it onto the next one.
Absolutely, and you can get more power through the ski if it is on a slight edge. So that's something that's changed over the years as well. Here comes Stephen into the finish. Oh, just misses out. Having led at the last split time, she's lost out on the descent back down into the stadium. Maybe have a word with the waxing technicians because that can be so crucial in a race this short. Jakobsen 2:34 has the fastest time at 800 metres at the moment, but still plenty of big guns to go. And here is one of them, Stina Nielsen, who wants to make up for that broken pole yesterday in the sprint event. Can she do it? Her body language tells me she wants it. That's a really powerful start from Nielsen as we watch Jessie Diggins coming up to 800. Looking so strong in the arms. You can often tell when someone's weak in the arm because the hand deviates on its line when it's driving. It usually shoots out to the side, but straight down for Diggins, and it's a fast action as well. It's a competitive time, 2.4, outside the fastest so far. Fessel looks as though it's a time to change gear.
Look at this, they're powering over the top, a slight recovery, not long, before the final climb.
Ragnhild Haga, as you can see, 2 podiums at World Cup level, 2 golds at under 23 level. Not all juniors make it through to succeed at senior level, but a good percentage of them do.
Good force. Well, the only flat bit of the whole track is the 200 metres leading out of the start. And Marit Bjørgen just taking her tracksuit off there. She didn't look convincing yesterday. She was there or thereabouts. I think 8th she finished. She was 10th last weekend in the sprint competition.
Now, have we got anything on Kowalczyk, who started 25? She must be coming into the latter stages of the race. She was some way off the mark at 800 metres. Well, here's number 24, which is, of course, Kari Schlind of Norway. And she's coming up to 3.3, so Kowalczyk should be coming through 3.3 in the next 30 seconds or so.
20 seconds behind at last reading, so she's not having a great start to her race.
Yeah, I had a look at her. I was just looking down her stats last night. In 2011, she won 371,000 Swiss francs. In 2016, she won 5,000. That is what you call a pay cut.
Isn't that a pay cut?
Yeah.
And wow, that's a big loss. Or a huge gain when she was racing at her best, and that's the kind of money that comes with that success.
Yeah, 4 or 5 seasons she was pulling in that sort of money, so she's not struggling, but she would like to be back near the top. She keeps on fighting as we watch Sandra Ringwald across the line. Here she comes, and Ringwald comes in 8.8 inside Lotte Weng, not Heidi Weng. Just need to keep reminding you of that, a cousin of the current World Cup leader, Heidi Weng. Sedova of Russia into the home straight now, and too much to ask to get inside Ringwald's time. Weng on 8.8. It's going to be close. It's going to be very close indeed. Will it be Russia or Norway in third? It's well, the Norwegians survive, and then it's very, very tight. So we'll grab you the finishing times. Ringwald leading 13.21 is the current lead time, and then only 10 seconds separating the next 5 positions. Things will get faster. Ragnhild Haag. We still haven't seen Marit Bjørgen, who's got a slightly later start than I was expecting, starting number 52.
She's going to she'll be looking at the positives of that start time, and she'll be getting so many of the splits ahead of her. Of course, Usberg starting 56 behind her, and to her disadvantage, I think Heidi Weng starting bib number 60. She will get all the information.
Well, that's a turn in the tables, and it's the importance of being in the yellow bib. We'll see whether she can capitalise on it. Fessel gets the green light, so the current leader changes. Germany 1 and 2, Norway in 3 with Weng, and then Anna Haag of Sweden in 4. Worth explaining that those well positioned in the World Cup, or those best conditioned, go so the leader of the World Cup goes number 60, and then the stars are every other number. So 58 is Faller, 56 is Østberg, 54 is Belarukova, who's made her mark this year, and then 52 Marit Bjørgen. Bjørgen not really performing as well in the sprints, but she looked fantastic in the freestyle race up in Ruka last week.
Well, Jakobsen, she started strong, and this is the hardest part of the course. She's managed to pull some more time off Möninen. Now 1.3 to go from this point onwards. Still climbing.
Just before the emails come flooding in, it was of course a 10k classic up in Ruka last week, so this really the first semi-distance. 5 kilometers a sprint for these girls, but first freestyle race, and a chance for those who prefer the freestyle.
Of course, the sprints yesterday in the freestyle, it was quite strange. Nielsen snapping her pole, and Paul Goldberg in the men's race snapping his. They won last weekend in the Classic.
Went under the banner with 21 seconds to spare, and it's going to prove to be ample. The lead goes back to Norway. 15 seconds from the advertising banner just at the entry to the home straight. And that will give us a good time split for later on today. Jakobsen still the fastest at the early split after just about a kilometre. We've got Jessie Diggins, who started to make her mark. She's going very nicely indeed. And here is the former world #1. Took the season off last year, a 10th, a 1st and an 8th in the 3 races so far this year. 104 wins to her name, and that tally surely is going to rise if she keeps the form that she showed last week in Ruka. Diggins going through 3.3.
Isn't that fantastic? That's quite amazing. She's really pushing up the big climb.
Mononen into the finish for Finland, and 4.1 off Schlind. Now I think she's actually lost time, because she was half a second or so up on Schlind before the descent down into the stadium. So a really good performance from Schlind. And Kowalczyk down in 23rd, maybe a little bit too short. The 10, the 30 kilometres probably suiting her better at the stage of her career. Welcome back to Lillehammer. We're watching the Norwegian champion Marit Bjørgen, but just to tell you that the lead has changed since we were away on that break. Jakobsen now leads from Schlind with Mononen in 3rd, so it's Norway, Finland in the finish area. Only a 5,000 metre race. Bjørgen has almost done the first one of those. How did she look?
Well, 4 seconds, 8th position. That's not a huge margin at 800 metres, but she didn't look as dynamic. Here's Jessie Diggins looking very dynamic.
Yeah, this is fabulous, and there's no doubt that Jessie Diggins had a tactic today, Mike. Start steady and get faster and faster. She's dancing her way up the hills at the moment. She knows she's on for a fantastic result if she can keep this going. Jakobsen's time in the finish is 12:56, and she needs to go under the barrier in 12:40. I think she's going to be comfortably inside.
I think she's got 9 or 10 seconds, surely.
Yeah, she's got a lot of time. She was down on Jakobsen at 800 metres. She'd gained a margin of 3 seconds at 2.2, and she's just got faster and faster as this race has gone on. We could see yet another American champion. Very early days to say that, but that's a tremendous run from Jessie Diggins, and all the US fans will be delighted whether she wins or not. They love seeing Diggins fight and perform well.
That could well be the winning time, and well, Heidi Weng just saw her finish. Now she knows exactly what she has to do.
Yeah, she's seen it, and she's on great form. And I think what the difference with Weng this year, Mike, is that she's so much stronger in the upper body. Her double poling yesterday was sensational.
Yeah, and that carries. When your double poling improves, every single compression through the arms is giving you less energy than last year. But remember Jessie Diggins winning that stage victory, the 5 kilometre freestyle, just like today in the Tour de Ski last year. That's given her confidence.
Østberg coming up to 0.8, and she's near enough to be a danger. Jakobsen still the fastest. Østberg has gone marginally half a second ahead of the current leader at the finish, of course, Jessie Diggins. Diggins, incidentally, from Minnesota, USA. So I'm sure she's got many fans over there. I'm not sure what the snow conditions are like in Minnesota at the moment, but maybe we'll find out after the race.
I remember racing over there, the American Championships at Giants Ridge and close to Minnesota. Lovely tracks, great conditions.
Bjørnsen is going to end up at least 40 seconds off the pace. Sadie Bjørnsen, fastest qualifier yesterday. I'm not sure she got her tactics quite right, and then knocked out in the first round of the sprints. But 7th place, so USA currently lying 1st and 7th at the moment. Waiting for Marit Bjørgen to come through 2.2 as we watch Falla at 800 metres. Needs to be within 4 seconds.
Well, Falla's the out-and-out sprinter, really, but 5 kilometres, not too bad for her. Last weekend at 10 kilometres, she was, what, 1:42 behind the lead time. But this will suit her better.
Here's the yellow bib of Heidi Weng, and Heidi Weng is going very well. Beautiful glide on the ski. She looks so poised on the skis this year, and she also, we mentioned her upper body strength, Mike. I think her core strength has increased. She's so much more stable.
Yeah, there's a more composed, a more mature, a much stronger framework there. And she is attacking. Jessie Diggins has certainly inspired her. This could be the new best time.
Well, she's going to be close. Whether she gets the lead or not, I'm not sure. It's going to be close. Maybe 1 second inside. Not even that, half a second inside for Heidi Weng, but she's got the green light, and that's the split that she wants, although it might be better psychologically to be told you're 1.5 off the leaders. But Weng looks to have given 100%, so maybe, on the other hand, it's better to be leading.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Jessie Diggins went through there 3 seconds slower than, well, 2.5 seconds slower than Jakobsen, and then Jessie started picking up the real attack. But without a doubt, Heidi Weng is fighting from the line.
Well, the Norwegians having to fight today, and it's the Americans who have laid down the target. Jessie Diggins, 12:40.3. Haga can't get anywhere near it. Still waiting for an update on Marit Bjørgen. She has gone through the third split. She is 8.7 behind. Diggins still leading at the 3.3. So Bjørgen has some 1,700 meters to make up 8 seconds. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Østberg is 5 seconds off the pace. Østberg was looking good, so really it's down to Heidi Weng if the Norwegians are going to claim this on home snow. Having been beaten by the Swedes this morning, they'll be desperate to get a win. But I tell you what, they're a generous crowd, and they will also celebrate if it's America with Jess Diggins who come away with the win. Kristoffersen from Mallorca over the line. Here's Ingmar's daughter. Her 13th season on the national team, Ingmar's daughter, and she finds herself almost 40 seconds off Diggins' time. That time's looking better and better, Mike.
It certainly is. It's a real momentous challenge for any of the athletes further back to challenge that time, especially as the race progressed. She didn't start particularly fast, but at 3.3, Diggins has almost 10 seconds of anybody. Now, Bjørgen coming up to that exact marker where Diggins had really pushed the pace. Still looks composed.
8 seconds, remembered, to make up for Marit Bjørgen.
I don't think so.
That was from 2.2, wasn't it? So it looks as though it's still going the wrong way. Now, has she managed to respond? Bjørgen looking for a second win of the season.
I think we're looking even slower than 9 seconds behind Jakobsen, quite likely. Looking for third place now, Bjørgen. 12.2.
Heidi Weng, having been ahead of Diggins, is now 1.2 seconds behind Diggins. And Marit Bjørgen 12 seconds behind. Harsum of Norway, another talent that they found coming in towards the finish. Still a long, long way to go from here.
Good news for the Americans, bad news for the Norwegians. Heidi Weng has gone through the second marker, 2.2 kilometers. Remember, she's set out so fast. She's now nearly 2 seconds behind Diggins.
Yeah, so she's lost 5 seconds or so on that between 0.8 and 2.2. Diggins obviously taking that first climb well within herself, had a look at the course, decided it's better to build the speed, even though it's a very short race. It's only 5k. Interesting stuff. The Americans playing the Norwegians at their own game and coming out on top at the moment. 12:40 is looking almost unbeatable, but we'll see what Heidi Weng does in the closing stages, because she's an athlete who will really respond if she finds out she's only got a second and a half to make up. That 3.3 split is going to be crucial, Mike, and Weng will be approaching it shortly.
It is, and Weng, with again the very light body weight, she has an advantage over the bulkier, stronger athletes up the climb. Parmakowski's had a very good run, just fading, I think, in the last 1/3 of the race. Parmakowski was 4th position at the last reading. 18 seconds of Diggins' time. And you can see how much she's faded. Still another good finish result. Østberg. Well, she seems to have lifted her pace from the bottom of that hill to the top, putting herself into 3rd position right now. In fact, she's only 0.9 of a second behind her teammate Jakobsen. And she's just ahead of Marit Bjørgen.
Nervous moments for Jessie Diggins in the finish. 25 years old. Is she about to get her first World Cup win of this season?
Just looking at Fala, she has managed to keep momentum. I know there's a long way to go before that line at the 3.3 kilometers, but this is a very competitive performance from Fala. 5 kilometers does suit her more than the 10-kilometer distance, being an outright sprinter.
Trying to think what the highlight of Diggins' career is so far. She, of course, won the gold medal at the 2013 World Championships, was it, with Keegan Randall in the team sprint?
Right. I think she was 20 then.
Yeah, and then she obviously took a silver in Falun on her own in the 10K. That was a couple of years ago, 2 years ago.
And the stage win in Toblach last January. Was it January or was it just the end of January? Maybe it wasn't the Tour de Ski.
Well, this goes down as a stage win as well, so maybe still that silver medal from Falun is her highlight, although she's a team player, so maybe the gold from Val di Fiemme. As we watch Bjørgen coming in from 3 seconds behind, it slipped to 8 and it's gone all the way down to 15.8. Jessie Diggins has taken Bjørgen to the cleaners. What a fantastic race from the American. Heidi Weng, is she hanging on in there? She was 2 seconds behind last time we saw her at 2.2. She's managed to close it a little to half a second. The race is not over and Diggins can't start the celebrations quite yet.
Well, I definitely advantage Weng and advantage the slender, the light body framework coming up this hill, a slight advantage.
On the opposite side of that, Mike, Heidi Weng winning the sprint yesterday, going all out, giving it 100%. I know Halvorsen won the men's race, having won the sprint. Are we going to see the two sprinters win? She knows it's tough.
I'm afraid you've got to say it is advantage Weng to be getting at home in Lillehammer, to be getting every few meters someone telling you, keep it moving, you've got to win this race.
1,700 metres. What would be, I can't quite work it out from the course and the way things have gone, whether Diggins was better on the uphills or the downhills. I suspect Diggins was climbing quicker and Weng is doing better on the downhill and the flat sections, but quite difficult to call it. 3.3, Mike.
Well, Diggins made time on the big descent from the top of the 3.3. This is the only last piece of climbing left, and it's not that long. The main theme is downhill from that high point at 3.3.
So half a second to make up in the last 1,700 as we watch Østberg coming in. She needed to be in the home straight now, and as you can see, she's got another 15 seconds or so, so she's going to be off the mark. Østberg at 3.3 was 9 seconds down. She was 3 seconds up on Bjørgen. She was 0.9 of a second down on Jakobsen. All of those from Norway, of course. And if it weren't for Diggins, Norway would have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Well done, Jessie Diggins. Østberg goes into 4. And that puts her just ahead of Parmakowski. Diggins, Bjørgen, Jakobsen, Østberg. So Bjørgen's had a pretty good finish, really, Mike. She gained a couple of places in the last kilometre. Late start, I should say, for Van der Graaf of Switzerland.
More a sprinter is Van der Graaf. Jessie Diggins, she just can't even watch what's happening.
She certainly can't sit still.
That's one aspect, Patrick, that they've tried to do with Jessie Diggins this season, is make her have some downtime, from morning session training to the afternoon, to even try and sleep. But she says she's so hyper, she finds it very difficult to switch off.
Well, here's the charge, and Veng knows she's got to make up half a second from the last marker. This is what we saw from Jessie Diggins, but this is the sort of sprinting prowess we saw from Veng yesterday when she claimed the classic sprint win for the first time. Another split from Veng. That will keep her going for another 5 or 6 metres, almost at the top of the climb, and then she'll descend into the stadium. It's going to be tight. There is no doubt about it. The big red banner, 100 metres from home. She needs to be under there with the clock with just with over 15 seconds to go. It still looks to be desperately tight. Diggins does not know as yet. 14, 13. Oh, I think it favours Diggins at the moment as we watch Veng come into the home straight. Here we go. Will it be 2 wins in succession, or is it going to be America's day? The clock is on at last, and she's outside. Jessie Diggins, sensational.
What a race.
She's got it. It's in the bag. Victory to Jessie Diggins.
It's a Diggins day.
Her second stage win.
Oh, the fight from Diggins on the last 1.7 kilometres. She's got fantastic skis, or she had fantastic skis on. What a great day for the Americans.
Expect to see more from her. Well done to Heidi Veng. She fought and she fought, and she's beaten Bjørgen, she's beaten Jakobsen, she's beaten Østberg. She must have thought she was going to win this one, but it's America's Jessie Diggins that has denied her and stopped another Norwegian clean sweep. Podium number 54 for Heidi Veng. Those two have had a cracking race.
That was interesting. She said, "I seen you at the start," and she must have realised that when Diggins was coming in, and she realised she had a real fight on her hands. Heidi Veng.
Well, Mike, most people enjoy the Norwegians winning, but this is so good for the sport. So, you know, it could have been any nation. It's good for it to see any nation other than Norwegians totally dominating. But for the North Americans to do it, it's so tough for them. They're miles away from home. They have a long, long season. And when they're at home training, they don't really have an indication of where they stand.
Very much. And still 6 Norwegians in the top 10. They're still there. They're still a powerhouse of cross-country skiing. But well done to Jessie Diggins and all the American team. Well, some real surprises this season.
So we've had Stina Nielsen winning, we've had Marit Bjørgen winning, we've had Heidi Veng winning, and now we got Jessie Diggins. So 1 Swede, 2 Norwegians, 1 American. Let's hope the season continues like that. Is Jessie Diggins a contender for the overall World Cup?
She can sprint, Patrick. She's proved today she can skate. She's definitely an improved athlete in terms of skating power.
Now she takes her place on the reindeer pelt, and she'll be there for the rest of the race if they can tie her down. No one else is going to touch that time of hers, and they know it. All the top seeds have now finished. We had a good field here today, 77 races. Lorian van de Graaf, who we saw out on the course, she was the last to start. Shikalova for Russia, 64, 66 I should say, and it's not a bad run. Certainly within a minute of the leader. Time-wise, Mike, what are the margins between the top 10?
Well, we've got quite a spread. 38 seconds in the men's race. It was, I think, 29 seconds in the top 10, but that was double the distance. In the women's field, it's 38 seconds from 1st to 10th.
Now, we've always said, since sprinting came in, that there should be a day between a sprint and an endurance race to give the sprinters a chance. Today, in the men's race, the winner of the sprint has won the 10K. In the women's, the winner of the sprints comes second. What's going on? Is that just early season form?
I think it must be early season form. You would think, having gone in the men's race 4 times around that incredible 1.6 kilometre sprint race, that Halvorsen would have been a little tired today, but he still had the form to take the victory. And the same with Veng. just 4.8 seconds behind Diggins, who didn't take part in all the sprints yesterday.
And you quite rightly pointed out, I thought Diggins was gaining on the uphills. She was skiing brilliantly on the uphills, but actually she gained time on the downhills. So half her prize money needs to go to the technician for the US team. He has done a tremendous job.
It appears that way, doesn't it? Because from the 3.3, the majority of that final section, apart from the final 200-meter climb that we see, the majority of that course is downhill.
And if one American has good skis, you'd expect the rest to have good skis. Sadie Bjornsson's not had a bad run. I think she's been pushed down just to, 14th place. 41 seconds off the pace set by Diggins. So 2 races in one day, and the Norwegians have not won either of them.
Elizabeth Stephen, third American in 26th position, 51 seconds behind.
So 3 in the World Cup points. That will do.
Quite interesting. Diggins went to New Zealand right through till mid-September, then over to Salt Lake City for another final dryland training camp there at altitude, 1800 meters, and so it's a huge amount of traveling before going over to Finland, Ruka last weekend, just 5 days before the races.
Yeah, difficult choice. I mean, of course, with the world as it is, you have the choice of spending 12 months a year on snow. I think you get a little bit depressed, but you could do it if you felt that was important in terms of training. So here's our winner, Jessie Diggins, the 5K freestyle champion in Lillehammer for 2016. Well, the day's racing has been completed in Lillehammer, and it's Jess Diggins of the USA who's got her 2nd World Cup win. 6th time she's been on the podium out of 116 starts, rapidly becoming the #1 American cross-country skier. It's the way she wins that everyone enjoys so much. She's a real fighter, and she's dug in deep today. She knew she had a chance. Her skis were brilliant, and she's pushed the Norwegians down. Veng, we've got Bjørgum, we've got Østberg, all kept off the top spot. So excellent racing, and that sets us up for a very exciting season. Heidi Veng remains the overall World Cup leader, having finished 2nd today. So, Mike, apart from Jess Diggins, who was outstanding, what else do we need to take note of?
I think Parmakoski in Finland have to take a lot of positives from today. She finished in 6th position. And Murninen as well, 10th position. Finland much stronger this season.
And, of course, Finland hosting the World Championships. February, back end of February, early March. And they are hoping to forget all about 2001 when they had a disaster. So...